Let's go. Alive.
Wala pa nagagalaw ng baso.
Yan, Bruce Lim.
Right on cue.
What up, Bruce?
Always dependable.
Hey, Glendale.
Hello, Glendale. Good evening.
What up, Glendale? So one person, at least, just one person actually, just asked for a Crown Jewel watch party. Pero it's tough. Like, we can do it. We could. Pero I don't want to go through
That's
that
at
again.
1 a.m., diba?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
You couldn't stay up for it. So
No. Yeah. No, I'm not
it's
doing
a
that.
tough sell. It's a tough sell.
Sinasabi natin yan eh, if we build it, they will come. Pero not in this case. Kasi puyatan talaga to eh.
They did come, to be fair. They did come nung Night of Champions. It's just that, it's not something that I would like to go through right now.
Walang bandwidth.
Yeah.
Same, di kaya.
Like, alam ko
Kaya
naman matatalo si
full
Eddie.
weekend.
Yeah, Glendale's sick. I'm kind of sick as well, but I'm just taking time off to recover.
Yeah, I
I'm also
actually
sick.
thought I had COVID today. So, lahat
No, I
tayo
don't think it
tinamaan.
is. Yeah. May something.
Hindi. Hindi flu-related yung akin. Gout-related yung akin.
Yeah.
Genetics, man. Genetics.
Handa na ba kayong bumoto sa mga barangay nyo this Monday?
Uy, importante yan Kailangan natin
Yeah.
bumoto.
Although, I'm just gonna vote abstain.
Okay lang kung umabstain, basta buboto ka,
Yeah.
di ba? Para hindi
Yeah.
matanggal yung privileges mo as a voter.
Exactly. Condolences again, Ina. I remember nga pala
Yeah.
this time last year na pumanaw yung mother mo.
Condolences.
I hope everything has been okay since that happened. Okay, so question of the day. If it's your birthday, Tony Khan has a checkbook na blank. Who would you like as a birthday present to appear at your birthday? Na wrestling legend.
Easy answer, Bryan Danielson.
Ako Triple H. let's see how big that check can get. Let's see how big that check can get. My answer is Triple H.
Kung pwede lang Eddie yung akin. But my answer would also be Bryan Danielson.
The thing is, it's not even Sting's birthday.
Let's assume
Retirement
it was.
yan.
Somebody said it was
Retirement.
birthday. Basta gift, regalo siya. Okay,
I
Bruce,
thought-
you can have CM Punk, Bruce, but are you ready for him to hijack your entire party?
And make your birthday all about him?
Yeah. He is the Baron Geisler of wrestling heroes.
That's a good one.
I speak from experience. I know what I'm talking about. You do not want him there.
Cena is a fun answer for your party. That's an
nga.
okay answer. Maganda
Cena.
yan.
Napaka-wholesome.
Wholesome. Children's
Cody,
party.
yeah, okay then, Cody. Great Muta, yeah, sure, why not?
Parang no wrong answers except for CM Punk.
I mean, it's up to you if it's a wrong answer. Just, be careful what you wish for.
Hmm.
Meron mga wrong answers. Paano kung magnanakaw pala yung in-invite mo, di ba?
Si Virgil, kinuha mo for your birthday.
O hindi ko sinasabi magnanakaw si Virgil
Well, he is a scammer.
Oh, Glendale says Taker. That's also a good one.
All right, time to shut up.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You are watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Romoran, and Chino Liao at your service for another Thursday live stream. It is also going to be officially our Undas episode and our Halloween episode all rolled into one kasi wala tayong live stream next week. So as you may know, we've got an extra large long weekend of sorts, parang long week na rin of holidays and suspension of work that's happening next week because of the barangay elections and Undas and All Souls Day and all of that stuff. So our friends over at the Pod Network will also be taking much of next week off. So we've got some episodes planned for you. So ito na muna for the next couple of weeks yung live stream experience natin. And we'll get into that later on. But I hope that as early as now, you've already checked out part 1 of our Halloween specials, which we dropped over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to Chino, who actually got the ball rolling and helping us prepare that horror list.
Yes. Ridiculous Wrestling is my specialty. So I'm glad I could contribute my little knowledge to the pod.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Ro, how are things on your end coming out of what has been another busy weekend of wrestling?
Yeah. Okay naman. Onwards and upwards for MWF. Really good show nung Sunday. Na-reduce yung presence ng OPM, so I think a lot of people were grateful for that. But yeah, big show coming up on December 3. Malapit na siya. I mean, technically, it's a month away. But Power Max Center Spotlight again. So I know a lot of people love that. It's one of the best venues we have here for wrestling. So please keep supporting MWF on Rock of Manila TV, on YouTube, and wherever you watch it. Kasi, especially me, because my work is completely heard on the broadcast. So, yun. It's a great TV experience.
Yeah. Great to have Chino back as always since medyo madalang na lang yung live stream appearances ni Chino because he's also gone back to doing the event. So it's great to have you back, bud.
Thank you. Yes, a busy week for podcasters. Thanks to everybody who said hi to me during the Here for It, the first pod festival held by Anima Studios and of course our friends from TPN, mga kapamilya natin, mga kapodcast natin sa TPN. Thanks to everybody who went. It was good, man. It was good. Yeah. They had a lot of booths out there. Got to see all some listeners said hello also to the people who asked for photos. Sorry, hindi ko na maalala kung sino kayo. But hello to everybody. We also got to see our friends from the network, yung madalang natin makita. I saw Babyface producer Jasper there. He was marking out with our the logo cut out dun sa booth ng TPN. Also, you got to meet a lot of other podcasters. I got to meet podcasters from Puma Podcast. I also got to meet podcasters from Anima, other pod networks that were also there. Got to meet some of the people from Spotify. #Spotify, baka naman. But all in all, it was like a good experience for everybody, for podcast listeners and podcasters. Also, shout out to Makoy Pare from the Machong Chismisan podcast and Miss Riza's season. There we go. Sorry, I screwed your name up. From the TPN family as well.
Yeah, let's also say hi to Ardo Miravalias, longtime friend of the pod, who's actually one of the big bosses over at Anima Studios. Sinahanap niya tayo actually. And then sabi ko, si Chino lang ang representation namin dyan for the day.
Di siya nag-hello sa akin, but di siya nagpakita. But
yeah, you weren't there when we interviewed him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I
Ayan.
was glad to be. I think I met him at the viewing party. Pero hindi ko lang sure, but
The WrestleMania siguro.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure. I'm
all
sure.
all in all, really just a good time to be had by all podcast fans.
All right.
Yeah, I couldn't be there.
Uh,
Yeah, because I had
yeah,
work. So
things
it is
happen.
what it is. Yeah.
Let's get to some business before we get to our first piece of news from the week. We've got our Patreon community, which is steadily growing. And as we told you about over the last couple of episodes, we've got 3 PLE/PPVs that you might want to be a part of as we end 2023. So a good way to be part of that is by jumping in on the Wrestling Podcast patron program.
Marami-raming PLEs, but of course, I think what we'll do on Discord is full gear for AEW coming up pretty soon, this next month in November. But for sure, Survivor Series, we're confirming that we are doing a live watch party on November 26th. That's a Sunday morning here in Manila. Daan yan sa pinakagusto nating hobby stadium over in New Manila, Quezon City. We're finalizing, we'll reveal soon yung ticket prices, but all you gotta do is come by, get your tickets at the door, and you'll get a free iced tea and syempre the whole viewing party experience and the good food and drinks from our friends at Hobby Stadium. So we don't know what the card is yet, but it's shaping up, and we can kind of see what it is coming on the horizon. So if you are in for your usual multi-man cluster F, whether it's a War Games match or a traditional elimination match, it's gonna be big kasi marami-raming people ang involved. It's gonna be like endgame level, kind of awesome. But also, we have our pasabays. We can confirm that they have all come in as of today from WWE Shop AEW, Pro Wrestling Tees, and other stores online from the US. And our friends who are Patreon patrons got preferential rates. Pero syempre, we are able to provide this service as well to non-patrons. Pero syempre, it's best if you sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for only $5 or around 275 pesos thereabouts. You get these perks as well as access to our Discord server, our Discord community where we talk about a whole bunch of stuff: sports, wrestling, video games, music, TV, everything under the sun. It's just one big community where we're vibing, and it's one way to support us. Syempre, if you like what we do here on the podcast and our other content on social media, it's just one way to support us. You don't have to sign up for as long as for too long if you can't do that for now. If your financial circumstances change, if you just want to show your support on the short term, please just consider taking some of your hard-earned money and showing your appreciation for us. Again, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5.
All right. Thanks for that, Ro. Let's get to some news from the week, and we're going to start with TNA Wrestling, which is a very weird sentence to say because we never start our news with TNA Wrestling, but we have to in this case kasi binalik ng Impact yung iconic na TNA Wrestling name. So I don't know what spurred this action, why this came to be, but we're getting back something that a lot of us, especially from our generation, grew up being very familiar with.
I actually have some insight on why they did this. So apparently, according to reports, it's still being very much referred to internally and by business partners as TNA. So yun talaga yung tumatak na pangalan. It has name recall, it has brand recall. And admittedly, it was originally a dumb idea because TNA really stood for tits and ass, diba? Back in the Attitude Era. And then it just stuck. It became iconic. So because nobody stopped calling it TNA, it's much better to just go back to the TNA name.
Actually, it stood for Test and Albert. That is what.
No, yes, but the Test and Albert thing was an in-joke to refer to tits and ass.
Okay, fine. But yeah, no, I agree. Kasi I still call Impact TNA from time to time. Nadudulas pa rin ako because it's the name that stuck. They were able to, first of all, the only thing more ridiculous than TNA is the part where they try to put meaning behind TNA. Oh, it's total non-stop action. Diba? Parang ano yung network ba yan? Ano siya? Sports show? What is it?
Hey,
Diba?
12-year-old me actually thought it made sense, okay?
Diba? So,
to be fair, Philippine Wrestling Revolution isn't really the best name either.
Okay. But at least may wrestling, eh, diba? So at least you know what it is.
No, it's TNA Wrestling. The full name is TNA Wrestling.
Yeah, okay. So like yung part ng TNA that to me didn't make sense. But I like how they were able to build it up to this name brand that is recognizable by all. Even in the current episode of Impact that's out right now on YouTube, if you are a subscriber, mapapanood mo yung whole seance, if you will, the ceremony that they did with all the OGs that are still part of the roster today. So in this little vignette, they had Josh Alexander, they had Chris Sabin on there, they had Eddie Edwards and his wife Alicia. They also had madami sila nandun, and they had this ceremony of trying to resurrect the TNA brand, if you will, kasi it's about time na daw. Diba? Which makes sense, I guess, kasi isa na din bumabalik yung mga veterans ng TNA wrestling, and I think it's apropos for the moment.
Yeah.
Glendale says, sorry, real quick. Glendale says TNA had a lot of name changes. It's just 3, and then 2 of those name changes were focused on TNA. So it was NWA TNA, then became TNA, then became Impact, and then we go back to TNA. So it's not like you're changing it completely all throughout.
Is this one of those changes that moves the needle for you?
Yes, but not so much because may sizable fan base si TNA, and I think it is a net positive for them to go back to the name na pinakakilala sila. Like, to give you a more recent example, I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Copeland ever goes back to Edge, because he's been Edge for what, the past 25 years, diba?
Yeah.
So eventually they're gonna go back to that. They're gonna find a way to go back to that, the way Cody found Rhodes back in AEW. So I think it's great to have TNA as a marketing person. It's great to have TNA have its old name back. Kasi when you say Impact Wrestling, you kind of load for a minute. If you're not familiar with Impact Wrestling, you load utak mo for a moment to say, what is Impact Wrestling? What the fuck is he talking about? But when you say TNA, you know what TNA is. You know what that company is. So it's easy. It's memorable for everyone, every wrestling fan, and it goes back to the historic name that they had.
Ikaw, Chino, you're the huge Impact fan here.
I've always been an Impact watcher, so it technically doesn't matter to me. Kung bumalik sila ng TNA, it's good for them. But I mean, at the end of the day, the quality of wrestling that they're putting out is getting better and better, to be honest. Just look at Bound for Glory, guys, over the weekend.
Yeah,
ang ganda ng Bound for Glory. I think one of the best Impact shows in a long time. So I might pick something from that show. Just be on the lookout sa aming pick of the weakest episode. But all in all, man, I mean, regardless of what they're called, diba, what's in the name and all that, kasi Impact is still Impact. TNA is still TNA.
Sorry. TNA stands for Total Nonstop Action, Bruce. As we were talking about this.
Hindi siya joke, dude.
Yeah, it's not a joke. It's Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
You gotta know your history, Bruce.
Albert says from YouTube, bring back TNA, but not the ugly six-sided ring. I can confirm that they're not doing that. It's not just ugly. I don't call it ugly. It's just different. Pero it's also really dangerous kasi sobrang tigas ng ring na yun. And the more comfortable the ring is for us wrestlers, the better. Nobody liked that because it just hurt more. Actually, wrestling hurts, but you want it to hurt less.
Yeah, according to some insiders ating mga dirt sheets, not everybody was a fan of the six-sided ring, so that was one of the fears that talent and backstage people had with the return to TNA, and it was laid to rest by Scott D'Amore na hindi babalik yung six-sided ring.
Thank God.
Yeah, somehow Scott D'Amore seems to be one of those people na pag nagsalita siya, like, okay, parang medyo kampante ka. No?
So, siya kasi yung statesman eh. He's the elder statesman of TNA at this point because wala naman si Dixie, wala naman, I mean, the old
Jeff
commentators.
Jarrett, wala na rin.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett's gone. The old commentators are retired na rin, so.
Or dead.
Wala. Yeah. Rest in peace, Don West.
Yeah. So yeah, this is good for TNA actually. You know, I always like the name din naman. So yay TNA Wrestling. Here's another rumor that came out over the past week. CM Punk to TNA. Is this something that could happen? Because he was spotted at the Impact taping. So people are trying to put 2 and 2 together. What's happening here?
let's contextualize properly. CM Punk, kasi the Bound for Glory was in Chicago. So, syempre,
And that's their biggest show of the year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, by the fact that it's in Chicago is automatically, if CM Punk is around, he'll go there. And CM Punk is a TNA alumnus, for those who didn't know. So at least may ties siya doon. He was backstage at the locker room giving advice to the kids, anyone who wanted to talk to him. It's not a lock kasi syempre Impact is not like the biggest company that Punk can go to, and syempre you're a big star and you can only demand so much money, right? And TNA can also only give you or offer you so much money. Kaya they want him. I think that's the rumor. They want him, pero I don't know if CM Punk actually wants that.
To add to the context, as Glendale is snidely alluding to in the comments, Ace Steel is working for TNA apparently. So that's another connection.
Diba?
Yeah.
As a producer.
Mm.
So mas malaki
So there.
siguro yung chance na umuo siya since his boy is already there. That was one of the stipulations he held out on over the course of his tenure sa AEW. Diba? Hiningi niya yun kay Tony Khan. Tony Khan couldn't give it. So, dumagdag lang yun sa tension nila. I don't know if, tama naman din si Ro, I don't know if TNA can actually afford, quote-unquote, CM Punk. Hindi ko alam kung gaano kalaki yung hihingin ni CM Punk in terms of a paycheck, although I'm pretty sure it's substantial considering ang biggest star ng Impact ngayon is Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley and all those guys who are pushing past 40. So, hindi ko alam kung gaano ka agreeable yung magdagdag ka pa ng another old guard to your roster. But if anything, CM Punk will draw eyes to the product, diba? And that's all what you always want for your promotion.
It will definitely make TNA must watch. I know I'll be tuning in to see what they do with him. Pero
or what he does with them.
Yeah, what he does with them. My stand from before, stands kasi if TNA wants him, please do him the favor of working on his mental health and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Let's say hi to Angelo and to Mac who are in the comment section. Thanks so much for joining us. What's up, Mac? We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll cross over to WWE and talk about the Battle of the Bosses as well as Bianca Belair's return. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts right here on the Pod Network. All right, let's talk about Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, who apparently are beefing with one another or nagpapataasan sila ng ihi, which is refreshing and not so refreshing at the same time. And I say refreshing because it's been a while since we've had two GMs who are at each other's throats trying to one-up one another. But then again, this is something that we've seen so many times in so many combinations over the last 2 decades plus. So what do you think about the way that they've been writing this tension between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, Chino?
I wonder if they're going to bring up their NWA history. Kung aabot dun yung call out nila.
You wish, no?
Diba? Sana eh. Basta nandun eh. But in all seriousness though, I think it's a little sudden to all of a sudden ramp up the aggression between the both of them. Yung passive aggressiveness na pinakita nila over on SmackDown. So, I don't know where this will lead. I don't think it was warranted because it felt a little sudden. They were supposed to be both faces. Wala namang outright heel sa kanila pareho. So, by extension, wala naman ding outright heel between Raw and SmackDown, di ba? Kanino kakampi dun sa dalawang teams na yun. So, I don't know where this will lead. Hopefully, it'll lead to somewhere interesting because Survivor Series always has the potential for something interesting.
Right. Here's a hot take. Ito naman si Ro. Kala ko expert ka. I don't think this is setting up a Raw versus SmackDown thing. Yes, it is easy to do because we are in Survivor Series season, but if you're doing it for Survivor Series season already, uh, Nick Aldis hasn't even had a chance to warm the seat with his butt, diba? So I don't think this is happening. I think the whole thing with Aldis throwing out Adam Pearce and Jey Uso in SmackDown was just him being established as general manager na doesn't take any shit, right? Because he's a big dude. He's a big English gentleman with muscles rippling all over his body. So you do gotta portray him as an authoritative, assertive kind of dude. Di siya push over, ganun. If you would notice, kasi the whole alam mo yun, interference, the whole invasion kuno focused on Jimmy and Jay. Nagkataon lang na Adam Pearce was there, right, to back up Jay, right? So I think that's the setup. I think they're just setting up the Bloodline story versus the Coalition. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I think it's too soon for that. It's really just if there were other people involved who are not the Usos, who are not the Bloodline, then yes, okay, I'm open to the possibility that eto nga pala yun. Pero no, I don't think it's it.
Yeah, there's also something about how, I don't know, I trust this regime of creative in the sense na hindi nila i-assume that fans would strictly be loyal to Raw or SmackDown alone. Na parang, hindi, Raw lang pinapanood ko, boo, SmackDown. Diba? Like when you say it, it actually sounds silly. And then I think it's about time na the people who are actually in the company come to terms with the fact na, that's not how it is.
Oh, it was kind of like that in early 2000s though. I did have those conversations with my classmates. So, ano ka, Raw or SmackDown? No, Raw ako kasi it's Triple H. But I was a SmackDown guy kasi Eddie, diba? And Brock,
hindi naman din siya exclusive to a generation, I think. I think there are still people who are cliquish in that sense. Ang sa akin lang is if this was going to push through, sana bigay pa rin nila sa atin yung Survivor Series match with Jey Uso and Company versus the Bloodline, or Jey Uso and Company versus versus Judgment Day. Yun yung gusto kong sabihin. Jey Uso and Company versus Judgment Day kasi that's what we all want to see in the end, diba? I think that's where it's all leading to. So sana okay lang, bigay nila sa atin yung Raw versus SmackDown that nobody asked for. As long as we get the Judgment Day versus the Jey Uso and friends, then I'm all good. I'm satisfied.
You will be surprised at how many people actually welcome it back. Other than John here in the comments, he says brand supremacy is back. I have seen people who are thrilled at the possibility of Raw versus SmackDown. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those very arbitrary things, kind of like the Eastern Conference All-Stars versus the Western Conference All-Stars, which coincidentally, binalik din ng NBA today. And here I am like, yay, it's back! So, I guess we're all on the same boat at some point.
The thing kasi with that is that there is a clear delineation between East and West, and that makes up the entire system of how you determine who's the best in the league, diba?
Yeah.
With WWE kasi, they've eroded the whole line between Raw and SmackDown so much over the past decade na who cares, right? You're watching Raw, you're pretty much watching SmackDown. Like LA Knight appeared on Raw, The Miz appeared on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar appears on both, right? That's what it is.
Oh, yun pa. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so brand supremacy, parang matagal na siyang na-retire for better or for worse.
For us, yes. But for casuals, apparently not.
Apparently not. All right, let's talk about Brock Lesnar. Since you mentioned him, there's going to be a Saudi Arabia event in a couple of weekends. It's Crown Jewel 2023. And surprise, surprise, wala si Brock Lesnar. He's not anywhere near the story. He's not booked. He's not on the card. And I checked yung history of WWE in Saudi Arabia. The Crown Jewel PLE will be the 11th event or the 10th event if I'm not mistaken, and that will only be the second time na wala si Brock Lesnar in a WWE in Saudi Arabia event. Surprisingly, Logan Paul is on it. Diba? He made his return on SmackDown to call out Rey Mysterio. He appeared again on Raw to double down on that feud. And now, the way I'm seeing it, si Logan Paul na ba yung celebrity boost na kailangan ng WWE for the Saudi Arabia show?
Yeah, I think so. Although they didn't do that for Night of Champions, diba? Like,
Brock was there.
No. Yung celebrity. walang celebrity. But yes, Brock was there. I don't know. I think obviously Logan Paul is way more popular than mas may recall si Logan Paul kaysa Brock Lesnar. So yeah, I guess you could say that.
Kasi iba din yung ina-attract nila eh. I feel like you're with Brock Lesnar, you're after the lapsed fans, yung mga casuals na nanood back in the day. Diba? Kaya nila kinuha si Brock Lesnar and Undertaker at the start of this whole Saudi run. Kasi that was what the Saudis remember. Or at least whoever booked the show remember, diba? Kasi yun yung gusto dalhin nila na experience to Saudi Arabia. But with Logan Paul, I think they're trying to capitalize on a much younger market since Saudi Arabia is a little bit more open now in terms of social media. Tingin nila mas ma-capture sila ng younger audience members with Logan Paul's market and Logan Paul's draw. And I think it'll be interesting to see kung ganun nga yung mangyari come Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
I'm just relieved that Logan Paul has finally just doubled down on being the heel. Like he finally understands, or someone has finally told him that, hey, you can't be the babyface in these stories.
Yeah, so no one likes you. Yeah, I agree with what Chino said. Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio, gonna slap then. It's a title match, so extra better. PLE, a lot better. So, kaway-kaway sa mga Loganatics dyan sa...
Yung mga Logan.
Nakikinig sa atin.
Yeah, see Martin Vicencio, our friend Martin, apparently is a Logang as well.
Logang gang.
Yeah, sabi ni Angelo, Logan Paul really is for the fans who are always on the internet, whereas Brock Lesnar does appeal to a different generation, or a different demo even. Another return that we saw over the past week was the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, nagbalik sa SmackDown, and with Io Sky messing with Charlotte, and then with Asuka, and then now with Bianca ulit, who's back for the first time since SummerSlam, napapansin ko lang, all of Io's feuds seem to always be a three-way or a triple threat. And I don't know what you think about this or what you feel about this, because while I like having Bianca back, there's something weird about Io Sky's challengers all coming at her two at a time.
It's because they got like 2 or 3 stars on the SmackDown Women's Division. You got Charlotte Flair, you got Bayley, now you have Bianca. So, and you have Asuka. So, minamaximize siya kasi. And because SmackDown is only really 1.5 hours long without the commercials, you can only do so much. So, I said before, Charlotte needs a story that's not about the championship. Asuka is fine. But when you have a stacked division with that little time, you do gotta make the most of it. And that's pretty sad. I don't know why they're not pulling the trigger on the feud that we really want to see, yung Io versus Bayley, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think until they do pull the trigger on the damage control breakup, ganyan pa rin yung mangyayari because it feels like everybody in the pool is the solution for everything at this point. Na parang, kasi madami din yung kalaban mo. Diba? Kasi they always end up playing a factor in the matches, damage control. So, I think until they do pull the breakup button, the breakup play, if you will, ganun pa rin yung mangyayari in the long run.
Yeah, the thing about the Bayley versus Io feud is talagang sineset up nila siya. And, you can tell that they haven't abandoned the story yet. It's just that we don't know when they're actually going to pull the trigger on it. So until then, I guess Io Sky has all these side quests with all of these challengers like the Charlottes and the Biancas and the Askas of the world. Nung last PLE yung Fastlane, right after the Street Profits turned, merong nag-edit nung match card na nilagay nila na si Bianca Belair is now accompanying the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Obviously, that didn't happen, but for a while when I checked it, sabi ko, spoiler ba ito ng SmackDown? Like, did Bianca turn heel and already join?
Your end sa notes niya?
No. Sa Wikipedia. I was checking the Wikipedia page ng Fastlane. So, akala ko lang merong nag-spoil ng SmackDown on Wikipedia and said na, Bianca's turned heel and all of that. And it actually made me think na if Bianca were to return, which she did over the weekend, that's actually the role I would have wanted to see her in. To have her be a heel and to accompany this new Hurt Business of sorts.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Parang bumalik nga sila to Bianca of old. Like I don't know, she was teasing something about how something has to change, how parang may bagong enlightenment siya about what she needs to do, but it feels the same. But I don't know. It's only because she appeared for what, less than a minute nung dulo na SmackDown. So I guess we'll find out more this Friday.
Yeah, you can still go there. I mean, she's only just come back. So, pwede pa silang lumiko towards that direction. You can imagine a backstage segment with her and the rest of the Prophets and Bobby Lashley. Pwede pa rin mangyari yun. My thing is, kung magiging ganon siya and she's gonna be part of the Street Profits, so para silang Black Judgment Day. And I don't know. I feel pretty iffy about two mixed gendered factions being both heels. Diba? Para at least have one of them be a face para to add a little depth to the roster.
Right. No, gets. Actually, yeah. That makes sense. I wanted to note something about the damage control thing. We mentioned medyo start-stop yung breakup angle nila. I just realized that almost all of the heel factions that Triple H has now is going through some sort of tension. And now he has this really precarious juggling act to do to balance, which factions are actually going through with the breakup para hindi sila sabay-sabay lahat. So the Judgment Day breakup got paused. I think there's something cooking with the Bloodline. Imperium is obviously going through it. And now Damage Control is also paused. So dami nilang ganap, and I think Triple H kind of backed himself into a corner with that. So if you notice lang na ang dami pa lang ganun nangyayari. It's also kind of like MWF at this point. But anyway, interesting thing to think about when you see the big picture over in WWE.
Infighting in professional wrestling? Shocked Pikachu.
No, but all that infighting, all of your heel groups infighting right now.
Yeah. All right, let's cross over to NXT, still within the WWE umbrella. We got to talk about the women. Congratulations to Lyra Valkyria, the new NXT Women's Champion. She defeated her idol, Becky Lynch. It was a clean victory for Lyra to take the NXT Women's title. And medyo nagulat ako because I thought na Becky would actually hold on to the championship for much longer and that she'd have this really long run where she'd bounce through Raw and NXT and have these random title matches with all the women in the mid-card na hindi masyado na bibigyan ng spotlight. But here we are. Lyra Valkyria's defeated Becky Lynch. And do you think na Lyra was the right choice for this?
I fuck with it. I like it. They really had a good built-in story. Yung childhood, yung idol versus yung fan, diba? So
yeah,
I like what they did with the whole Irish heritage thing. They even showed yung pub sa Ireland. Watching them, I don't know kung legit yung nanonood sila live, but it was nice. And I think it's one of those things that they wrote the story, they built the story, and it makes sense for them to pull the trigger. So it's kind of like what Chad Gable could have experienced kung natuloy yung panalo niya against Gunther, right? So I think they did the legwork to make it feel good. And it was a good match as well. So it's one of those things. It was rightfully hard earned by all of everyone involved.
Yeah, no, I also am agreeing with Ro here. I like how first of all they went with the younger talent and newer talent, because anytime you beat a very impressive champion in Becky Lynch, diba? Very dominating champion in Becky Lynch, kailangan start making performance din siya. So congrats to Lyra Valkyria. She gets that rub from the man. I'm just happy na hindi nila automatic nilagay si Jade dun sa title picture na yan, because I don't feel like she needs that title just yet. But in terms of Lyra beating Becky Lynch, I think it's okay. Yeah, I still would have wanted Tiffany Stratton to have beaten Becky Lynch during that last pay-per-view or NXT pay-per-view. Pero for this one, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, good stuff seeing, this whole feud na talagang nilayer pa nila with the history, diba? They even showed yung footage of Becky Lynch training with a young Lyra Valkyria, that picture on Lyra's socials that goes all the way back from 2018. So I'm happy with how this turned out. Yung nga, nagulat lang ako na napakabilis din nung title run ni Becky Lynch, but I guess we have now entered in the era of Lyra Valkyria. How do you want Lyra to be something like a Kaylee Ray na forever champion, or do you want her to have like a quick babyface championship run and just drop it like before the end of the year?
Hated yung forever champions ng NXT UK. It was so bad. Like, that was the worst part of NXT UK.
To be fair, nangyari lang yun because of the pandemic. So
Yeah, I guess. No, but before that, they were doing it long. Like,
okay.
Si Pete Dunne, diba? He had a long run.
Pete Dunne.
Yeah, dude. GYV had a long run then.
Yeah.
Yes, pandemic, pero they really liked doing that long reign thing. Also because, syempre, they only tape like once a month, diba? Yung 4 episodes a month. I don't know. I don't think at this point NXT champions the veterans. Kasi Lyra was a veteran that they picked up from NXT UK. They don't need to go into long runs. I didn't like the Braun long run. It didn't do any favors for me. I just think that you should use yung NXT championships as a way to prove that you're main roster ready, and then dip when your welcome is worn out.
I mean, Lyra is still pretty young. Sorry, Ro, were you done?
No, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Lyra is still pretty young in her career. Kahit sabihin mong vet na siya. Diba? She's still pretty young age-wise. So she still has a lot of room for growth and for, in fact, proving herself tulad ng sinabi ni Ro. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with it. It'll also be interesting to see kung gaano siya katagal magiging champion. Kasi in the landscape of the women's division in NXT, madami pa rin umaaligid. They're teasing all sorts of people. We just saw, again, si Jade Cargill sit down on her throne type of situation nung NXT. So it'll be interesting kung anong gagawin nila. Are they going to put her up against Jade right away? Who else becomes the challenger? What do they have for Lyra? Because she is so young. Ang dami pa rin scenarios na naglalaro.
May pa Dame time pang nalalaman tong si Jade Cargill nung nakatapat yung camera sa kanya. But if I had to make a guess, and this is coming from someone who has no idea what's going on, I would put my money on Jade Cargill still being in the main roster, and then Blair Davenport being the next NXT Women's Champion. I think she defeats Lyra.
Yeah. It could be anything. I don't know. I don't even know. All I know is Lyra deserves it. Out of a whole division of people who deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Right, sticking with NXT, ito, 2 weeks nang binibuild up tong story na to. Who attacked Trick Williams?
Okay, so it's one of these things. Murder mystery, right? It can't be the obvious choice. Like, I know that yung predictability is often what makes the story good, but they're laying it on so thick that now I know it can't be Mello. Parang masyadong you can't make us guess the really obvious candidate for this, right? I had a candidate. I had a guess for this kanina, but I can't remember now. I don't know if it's like Corbin or someone, or Wesley. Wesley is my guess. I think people genuinely like the Mello Trick dynamic. I think the whole story of Mello going through his feelings about not being champion and then Trick being champion before he lost the title. It's a way for him to develop his character, but not necessarily to turn heel. So my official take is that it's not Mello.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's as mysterious to me as whoever attacked Jay White. It's in the same. We still don't know. We still don't know. So it's up in the air at this point. But may point ka, Roy, when you said na it can't be Mello now, since they're trying to tell us that it is Mello, it can't be Mello now. So it'll be again. I'll wait and see na lang ako kasi I like it. I like where this is going. Kung hindi kasi Mello to, then I like where this is going.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys want your surprises, but what if we get a surprise that's on the level of Rikishi saying he did it for The Rock?
What do you mean?
Yung-
Who would do it for The Rock? Si Ava, ganun.
No, I mean like an out of nowhere surprise na hindi kayo logically
He did it
satisfied.
for the people. He did it for the people.
Okay, nga,
The Rock.
the out of left field surprise for me is Wes. Kasi Wes also went through it, diba? So, especially nung nawala si Nash Carter, right? So, I don't know. I don't know.
Glendale, it can't be the schism because they've disbanded. As in, watak-watak na sila, for real.
Well, I mean, they disbanded.
GYV
It
just-
could still be
yeah.
Joe Gacy, yeah.
Yeah, GYV
Yes.
just debuted, diba? Sa Indies again.
Yeah, yeah.
Ayan, sabi ni Emil, ilabas daw ang CCTV footage. Si
It could
NXT
be
Anonymous
Joe
ang bahala dun.
It can be Joe Gacy. I might go for that. Or si Wesley nga.
Sabi ni Albert, watch it be Akira Tozawa. I mean, he just stole the Heritage Cup. So clearly he doesn't do a good job of avoiding cameras.
Yeah, yeah. Why would it be Akira Tozawa? Everyone loves it. Although he's nasty. So
All right, one last thing from NXT here. Congratulations to Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. Chase U has won the NXT Tag Team Championship from the D'Angelo family. I thought it was the right time. I thought it felt great to see Chase U finally get a win here after all of the stuff that they've gone through over the last year plus.
yeah,
Yeah,
deserved naman. Sorry, go ahead, Chino. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say the same thing. Well deserved for Chase U. Yeah, but the saga that these guys have been put through, this table has gone through, is just a show to behold. And I'm just so happy that one of my favorites in the current run of NXT, si Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, are title holders now. So well deserved indeed.
I agree. People like to write off Andre Chase and Chase U kasi comedy characters sila, but the D'Angelo family had kind of gotten stale na rin after winning the championships, after the big story about, Tony D being sprung from jail, diba? So it was time for a change then. Duke Hudson has been so good, especially nung Global Heritage Invitational. Andre Chase also low-key good. You just don't see it because he's a comedy character as well. And it's one of those things, it's hard-earned then because Chase U is really so over. So I like this a lot. And I don't need it to be long as well, but it's a nice feel-good moment. It's really nice then that we had 2 title changes, no Halloween Havoc, and especially title changes that we never saw coming.
Yeah. And what I love about the Chase U win is, they've been so beaten down, diba, with the things going on with Thea Hale and JC Jane, and then with Thea thinking that Andre Chase doesn't trust her kasi diba, he threw in the towel to give up on Thea Hale's behalf. Pero yung moment na nanalo sina Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, Thea Hale went back to being original Thea Hale. Yung kanyang basic form where she's just all happy and hyper and Chase U spirit all the way. So that character is still in her despite JC Jane trying to lure her to the dark hot side. So, I love all of these elements coming together. And I can't help but think back to 2 years ago. I'll bring it up again, Ro, yung rankings natin for NXT 2.0 when you said na you felt Andre Chase had the least upside from all of the new characters they debuted. And then 2 years later, all of us are like, we love Chase U. We love Andre Chase.
Kasi nung panahon na yun, the writing wasn't as good as it is now. So, it's fine.
Fair, yeah, fair.
It's just nice to see how all this has come
I also
from.
had Duke Hudson low because yung character na at the time was a fucking poker player. So that was weird.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Everyone
Where did he rank Joe Gacy then?
I didn't rank him high because I didn't like the writing of his, millennial buzzwords character. Gen Z buzzwords character.
Naalala ko lang yung top 3 natin were Braun, Mello, and another person. Yeah.
Okay. That panned out naman.
Yeah, that tracks. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, let's talk some AEW, specifically highlights from AEW Dynamite. But first, a quick word from our other kapodcasts right here on the Pod Network. Alright, we're back. Sige, mamaya na natin pag-usapan yung, yung first slide, Jasper. Let's skip ahead to Ric Flair because Matt, Glendale, and Bruce are all going woo in the comments. So we have to talk about the Nature Boy being Sting's gift. Like, in what universe could we have all imagined now when they said Tony Khan has a gift for Sting, said gift would be the 16-time world champion Ric Flair?
It's actually very classy of both Flair and Khan to do this for Sting. Diba? If for classic wrestling fans, you'll know that Flair and Sting have a history together nung WCW days pa. So, ang ganda lang. Kasi it's something that we never expected. I never expected to see the Nature Boy in an AEW ring. Diba? Let alone hugging Sting and Tony Schiavone and cracking promos and then being interrupted by Christian Cage. What a year to be alive in the year of our Lord 2023. Ang daming ganap itong segment na to and I love it.
Ro, what did you think of all of the jokes that Christian threw at Ric Flair, all the dead jokes?
I loved it. To be fair, you would think with all the hard partying and drinking that Nate had back in the day, back in the 80s and 70s and the 90s, you would think he could have died 20 years ago. So that tracks. I think that tracked. Mac, I don't think they're going to do a match for Nate. I think even Tony Khan knows that's not a winning play at all. I like this. Ric Flair naman is not contracted to WWE right now without much of a Legends deal or anything. Besides, he's like an elder statesman of the business, diba? So let him appear wherever he wants to appear. Like Bret Hart, diba? Let him appear wherever they want to appear. Syempre, AEW haters are gonna take a shit on this because it's another old guy that Tony Khan brought in. But this makes sense because it's not just a random old guy Tony Khan brought in. This is literally a man whose history is well intertwined with Sting. So it's one of those things that it makes sense. So okay lang din. I am not quite sure what purpose it served other than to pop a rating, I suppose. But it was a nice surprise, and it's one way to get your show talked about, which is always good, naman. Again, I don't hate it because it made sense. So I'm all for it. I don't know if it's going to lead to any future appearances from Flair on AEW. I just hope they don't overdo it kasi hirap na siya magsalita. So, this is fine. You can have him show up at the actual retirement match at Revolution. Then, that's it.
Yeah, cut the camera to Ric Flair by reacting to Sting being in the ring.
He can manage Andrade.
I mean, okay, yeah, sure, why not? I was gonna say na may purpose din naman with Ric Flair being brought out kasi it actually pushed the story forward, diba? You had Christian Cage come out there and throw some verbal jabs at Ric Flair, and then it led to yung challenge from Sting and Darby. So it even led to Sting actually confronting Adam Copeland backstage and getting him to actually pick a side and all that. So I'd like to think it was written pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It was one of those segments that actually worked well. I think because Christian anchored the whole thing pretty nice.
Yeah, Christian Cage, MVP talaga.
It's also funny kasi in the real world, Ric Flair actually walked out of a comedy panel show because he found it too offensive. Right? He walked out of Kill Tony. He was a panel member on that show. And then nung nag-roast na ng comedians, he gave this heartfelt speech about how he's anti-bullying, and he just left in the middle of the show. This is a thing that you can find on YouTube. Tapos, got to today's Dynamite, where Christian Cage basically called him a corpse on national TV. So it's just pretty funny to me na willing siyang magpaganon, I guess, kasi may consent. I don't know. But it's just funny.
I mean... It's wrestling, so I guess that's one thing that Nate should be okay with.
Yeah, I mean, alam mo yun, Nate. Ric Flair should have known already what Christian's current gimmick is all about.
Yeah,
yung mga irreverent jokes, dead dad jokes, jokes sa sobrang below the belt, which is really becoming one of the better gimmicks in wrestling week by week.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about MJF, who is just being bombarded with all of these challengers left and right. Diba? He's dealing with Jay White, then he's got Samoa Joe, and then he's got Kenny Omega, he's got Wardlow, he's got all of these challengers. And if you're the AEW World Champion tapos babyface ka pa, I think this is a very good way of making him seem like an underdog even though he's largely undefeated.
I really love this. I really love this because everyone is like half the show is involved in with MJF, diba? Like the Acclaimed wants to be his friend, Max wants to fuck him. Sino ba ba? Roddy Strong wants to be his new friend. The Kingdom want to be his friends. So it's a great. I don't know how they stumbled upon this, how they decided. Okay, we're gonna just have everyone interact with MJF and call out MJF. But it really made the championship look like the biggest deal on the show, in the company, after like a few weeks and months of having Bryan Danielson be the biggest thing about AEW, Kenny Omega being the biggest thing about AEW. I love this so much. I don't know who's writing this. I don't think it's Tony Khan. It's a great way to make him feel so important. And kasi in kayfabe, like everyone should be gunning for the championship, diba? Like let everyone else have the TNT championship or the international championship. We want the World Heavyweight Championship, and we want, and others could also want to be friends with the world champion, diba? So I love this so much.
I like it because it also puts stock on MJF. Diba? Kung paniniwalaan natin yung rumors and innuendo, he's on his way out come 2024. So, kung ganun nga yung mangyayari, he gets to work with all this world-class talent before he jumps ship, then good for him kasi he adds value to his character and to his wrestling persona. So, I like it for him. I also like kasi he was at risk. The AEW World Championship was at risk of being secondary to Christian Cage and his TNT title. Diba? Yun yung nag-trend eh. And then dumating sa point na yun yung mas pinag-uusapan. So at least now, we have a reason, or I have a reason at least, to pay attention to MJF's story now that he has all these supposed friends around him.
So I'm not gonna make like a self-righteous public figure and say na it was God's plan or everything happens for a reason. But I will say na maybe this is a happy accident coming out of Adam Cole's unfortunate injury.
I don't think it was an accident because they were really just going through everything. I mean, yeah, I guess because if the story really for Full Gear really was Adam Cole turning, but the way they did it felt so intentional. Na some of it, yes, some people were like medyo pilit, like Wardlow, okay, medyo pilit, but at least he has the history with MJF to draw on. Samoa Joe also kind of pilit, but he had that out when he got pinned after being hit with a weapon, diba?
Yung kay Kenny was out of nowhere until we all remembered wait, his record.
Yeah. So, some of it is pilit, pero a lot of it then was weaved kind of naturally, like the Acclaimed then. Max had always been creeping on MJF on Twitter for the longest time, so I got that. They drew on their history as young wrestlers then, so
yeah.
I enjoy a lot of this. I don't know if it's because I'm a sucker for these really complex storytelling that you can unpack and spend hours trying to unpack. So it's medyo magulo, medyo unruly siya, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Ikaw, Chino, are you able to like make sense of it all? Do you like this? Do you like all of these balls being juggled up in the air?
Yeah, no, yun nga, tulad ng sinabi ko, I like it because it makes MJF important again. It's also nuanced storytelling, which we all love. It makes it more watchable for me now kasi dati parang ang kwento ni MJF is MJF versus everybody else. Now, it doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Now, he's actually willing to work with people, and it's actually very watchable for me at this point. So much so na mas tinitignan ko pa yon kaysa dun sa nangyayari kay Christian Cage.
Which is tama lang naman. Yeah. Tama lang naman kasi MJF is the world champion.
Yeah.
And he should be the draw. Yeah. We have a bit of time remaining, so let's talk about that ending from Dynamite, where it was so chaotic, so confusing. Ako, as a viewer, I was like, this is not the type of chaotic ending that I like to see in my wrestling. So, for context, the main event match was Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada taking on the Blackpool Combat Club. And then towards the end, after the BCC picked up a win, there were officials and ringside doctors checking on Bryan Danielson para mainiinda siya sa mukha. Okada was either looking down on him or like talking smack or whatever, or checking up on him. Di natin alam. Claudio looked pissed. OC was in character, but there was a lot of chaos and a lot of moving parts. Best Friends all came out. John Moxley all came out. And I described it as the type of chaos where you felt like nobody really knew what was going on legit. So, Rogue, were you able to make sense out of it in the hours since Dynamite?
I couldn't find any report talking about what really happened or if it went down the way it did. Pero kasi, looking at it as a wrestler and, someone who, executes these things, right? When you leave the segment feeling confused and it's the closing of the show, I think something went wrong there. Everyone came out, so it seems like there was supposed to be a big fight, brawl, or confrontation between the two factions, between the two groups of people, the Best Friends and BCC. And then because it seemed as though Bryan Danielson got tagged for real by the Superman punch in Orange Cassidy. I watched the ending sequence back. That's when he went down. The doctors immediately tended to him after the match, and then maybe it was because of that he missed a cue to face off with the people in the ring, and then Claudio just went up to check on him, and then because he couldn't continue or stand up, Claudio was telling everyone to hang back, stay back, don't do anything. I knew because he was kind of putting a stop to everything else. So and then it was an overrun, so they had as much time as they wanted because TBS was already giving them the time past the hour. So because of that, because of everything going on, when it feels confusing, it means that almost always something did not go to plan. So I don't think even Tony Khan would have booked something that intentionally confusing, especially with Bryan Danielson involved, because Bryan has a bit of a hand or input, at least, in their creative. So he would have shot down anything that seemed confusing. So it just unfortunately seemed to be a case of something going wrong. Maybe they'll come out with a report. Maybe Sean Ross Sapp will find something to say about that. But I didn't see him complain about the ending as well. So I'm also kind of confused. But yeah, that's what I'm sticking to. If it feels confusing as an ending, maybe it wasn't what the ending was supposed to be.
Do you get bothered by endings like that, Chino?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I hope that everybody involved in the situation is healthy, that they're fine. I hope that Bryan Danielson isn't injured again kasi nakagaling lang sa injury.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that happen, especially to one of our favorites here. So at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be safe, everybody to be healthy. Kung may mali yung nangyari, hopefully it's not that big a deal. Hopefully they can clear it up. But if it is a story device, then it's got TK fingers all over.
Yeah,
hindi na naman nag-make sense. It's very half-baked. So kung gano'n, kasi I like brawls, ending in brawls, that makes sense. Magulo yun, and that makes sense. But this wasn't even a brawl. It's just like a health scare. It's sana hindi totoo, diba?
I wouldn't book, and I don't think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here because at least even he would know what it would look like. I wouldn't book an ending where everyone is out there, even the people who weren't involved in the match just previously, standing around an injured guy looking confused. So that's not an ending anyone I think would do. So you want to close the show on a exciting note.
Yeah. So yun, you know how it is with podcasts, right? Like, right after we finish recording, a report might have come out already and sobrang magiging dated na to pinag-uusapan natin. So we might as well get that out of the way. If by the time you're listening to this on the audio only, like on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, you'll have to cut us some slack because we're recording this on a Thursday night. And it does take some time to put post-prod and whatever. So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to echo Chino here and hope that everybody is healthy and that Bryan Danielson isn't actually injured as the ending of Dynamite seemed to imply. On that note, we've got another episode coming out over the weekend. On top of this one, we'll talk about our impressions of Lexis King, FKA Brian Pillman Jr. We'll also be giving you our predictions for Crown Jewel. So, right now, merong 5 announced matches. Hindi natin alam, baka madagdagan pa by the time SmackDown rolls around. But because we don't have a live stream for next week, we figured aagahan na rin natin yung Crown Jewel predictions. We've got 5 matches anyway. They're all huge matches, 2 world title matches there na rin lang naman. So we might as well break it down for you over the weekend as we head into so many days of just us not being not going to work because of the barangay elections and the All Saints Day and All Souls Day commemorations. As we get to the end of the podcast, how about we get to some plugs? Chino, what's going on in your end of the world?
So we have a few comedy shows still happening. Again, first of all, thank you to everybody that came out for Joketoberfest. All shows went off without a hitch. All shows were successful. Thank you for supporting the local stand-up scene. If you feel like supporting some more, this Saturday I am doing a show with our friend Stanley Chi. It's a Hobby Stadium, no less.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to see what Hobby Stadium is like outside of wrestling, then come join us for spooky comedy. It'll be myself, Stanley Chi, as well as a whole lot of other Phil Chai comedians to make your Halloween weekend. So all the tickets will be available on www.comedymaniela.ph/shows. Also, give me a follow on social media as well at Chino Supersized, lalong-lalo na sa TikTok, so that I can get that live traction going at Chino Supersized.
All right. How about you, Ro?
Wala naman, just please go catch Manila Wrestling Federation Action Novela TV on Rock of Manila TV. It's on Facebook, also on your TVs. Just rescan your box, or on YouTube as well. So more than the live events, because I know not everyone can attend the live events regularly. It's awkward then, sometimes the schedule just doesn't line up. So please, it's really accessible. No, you don't have to pay anything now. Or you can pay if you just want to watch it in advance. But everything is free. We would really like for you guys to watch it because it's wrestling on national TV. It's also where our work as broadcasters is also heard. So we work hard on this program. So please go catch it as well. Noche Buena is coming up December 3, 2023. It's a whole month and a little more on the way. So it's got to be the Power Max Center Spotlight. If you're planning to watch, you might want to get tickets as soon as you can kasi marami nang nagpapakita na bumili sila. So, yun lang naman. Please follow the Wrestling Podcast on TikTok at Wrestling2XPod. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go listen to my podcast, Unmask the Chronicles of Roman and that's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Talks about my career as a wrestler. People have been asking me when the next season is coming. Don't know just yet. I'm trying to work on a few things before that happens, so please stay tuned. Yun na.
Yeah. Over on my end, thank you very much to ISAA and Airlink Aviation or International Aviation College or ALIAC for having me over at the ISAA opening ceremonies this morning. Really fun time hosting the kickoff celebration for ISAA season 15. So I've always wanted to be part of these collegiate league events where you actually have a ceremony and stuff. So it was great to be at the center of it all as the MC for that one. So thank you for having me earlier. And echoing what Rose said about MWF, kita-kita tayo for Noche Buena on December 3. I only found out this year when I joined MWF for real that Noche Buena is basically the Revolution X or the WrestleMania of MWF. So it would be nice to have all of you there celebrating with us and ending 2023 strong in local wrestling that way. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us for this week's live stream. Everyone who's been checking out the episodes, the Halloween episodes. We're dropping another one on Monday, October 31. Thank you to Babyface producer Jasper for beating the clock and uploading those episodes. And thank you as well to all the Babyface producers at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do for us behind the scenes. Individually, we are at Chino Supersized, at EML_Meister, at Monday Night Rowan, at Rowiswar, and at _Stan C. For the podcast, it is at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok. Facebook and Instagram, ganun pa rin, at Wrestling Podcast. And make sure you follow us on Spotify and leave us that sweet 5-star rating after you check out an episode. This has been another episode of the Wrestling Podcast in the books. For Ro Moran and Chino Liao, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Happy Halloween, everyone. Wrestling Podcast out. Bye-bye.
Peace.